Yo, what's up everybody? It's Drewberry. We're back with another custom card video. Now, last time I told you guys we're going to be taking a little bit more time between the videos, and we're still kind of doing that right now. But I also said there was going to be 10 winners. I've only got 5 here today, but I will have all of the cards rotating here. I said last time that I was going to cut that out, and I thought, well, I didn't really have a good idea what to put there, so we're just going to leave it. We're going to keep doing that. If you don't see your card, there's no reason other than I take all the cards and they randomly are put into a folder and they rotate. So it's not personal or anything towards your card, okay? It's mostly probably a formatting issue. But here we go with the cards. The next challenge is going to be January 28th. That's today, to February 17th. That's going to be the duration of the challenge, and the keyword is going to be afflict. We haven't done a challenge with this keyword just yet, and it's a bit of a trickier one, very narrow in its application, but I thought maybe we could get creative with it. I'm going to leave it pretty open-ended. If you want to add your own keyword to it or something along those lines, go for it. So basically what I'm looking for is you afflict an enemy card or hand or deck or whatever it may be with a negative implication. Doesn't have to necessarily be negative power. I'm going to leave it up to you guys to figure out what that could be. I think negative power is a very interesting area to explore. We have cards like Hazmat, Man-Thing, these sorts of things. Very fun cards, one of my favorite ways to play Snap. But yeah, go for it. I want to see what you come up with. And if you want to submit a card, you can join the Berryverse Discord, link in the description below. You can create a custom card using that link, and you can post one submission in the weekly challenge channel. Now, another huge announcement is that since I'm kind of stepping back from doing these on a regular cadence, I'm doing them more like once every 3 weeks or so, I thought, you know, the community, you guys, you really love these custom card videos and just custom card review content, making cards. So I reached out to some content creators, and a few got back to me, and they're going to be doing custom card reviews. They've already done a couple. So one of them is Pulse Glazer, who's a part of the Marvel Snap Judgments podcast in Marvel Snap Zone, does a lot of articles there. Very active community member, does amazing content, and he's going to be mixing in custom card reviews and his own challenge, which you can also submit to in the Berryverse Discord, where it's just going to be, I think it's like almost weekly or every couple of days. So a very good way to stay active if you're interested in making custom cards. And we also got Prashan, awesome YouTube content creator, and I think he streams on Twitch as well. I don't go on Twitch a whole lot, but you can definitely check out his content, and he's going to be doing custom card reviews. I think it's going to be full videos like what I'm doing here. And I'm going to try and get more creators involved in this space to just showcase your guys' creativity and just get some of the more of the hype going around custom cards, because it's a lot of fun. I just don't have a lot of time in my personal life to be doing this on a weekly cadence. Anyways, that's it for me. Let's get to this week's winners. Oh shoot, really quickly, I almost forgot, is we got the season pass winner, and that is Egg Roll. So congrats, Egg Roll. The way Egg Roll won this card is simply just by submitting. So all you have to do is go into the Berryverse Discord, submit a card to my challenge, and I randomly select one person who wins a season pass card. So there you go. Congrats, Egg Roll. I will hit you up on Discord if you want this month's season pass or next month. That is totally up to you. Okay, now it's time for this week's winners. And of course, I got to start it off with my card, and that time I'm going with Spider-Man Noir. Now, of course, a lot of people made Spidey characters, and there's going to be a lot of Spidey characters in the winners for this week, but I wanted to go with it as well because it's just like a very cool theme that Move has going with it. Very thematic, very on point. So here we have Spider-Man Noir, 3/5. This card moves in the opposite direction. Okay, so I was trying to think. One thing that's definitely lacking in Snap for whatever reason is that all the directional movement stuff for cards anyways is left. It's like, why? Why is Heimdall and Iron Fist? I think that's the only two out there right now that have directional movement. Anyhow, I thought it'd be cool if we could have a card that actually goes to the right. That would work fantastic with Heimdall. You shift a bunch of cards to the left, but Noir would go to the right. That means if you play Heimdall to the right and Noir is in the middle, you're going to get Noir to jump over to Heimdall's location, which is going to give him a boost on that final turn, give him that 13 power, and then we're going to have a bunch of stuff shift to the left. So I thought that was pretty neat. And then also Iron Fist. Like, it's one of those more situational, like, I don't know when you would actually play him. That's why I gave him premium stats, because he's not really doing anything to help you out, but he's just creating those opportunities to maybe move power to a different location than you would otherwise playing another card. So Iron Fist, right? What if Sanctum Sanctorum popped up on the right location? We're trying to get stuff over there, but we can't really because everything's going to the left. Well, now Iron Fist and Noir combo gets Noir to the right, right? That's kind of what I was thinking. Maybe it's a little bit too niche, but I thought it'd be kind of neat. And of course, he would have the bonus of any card coming out in the future that has directional movement. He can move to the opposite direction, and it's just an extra little bonus. But then again, another thing for clarification is those random movements or those pulled movements like Arrow or anything like that, or Juggernaut, that has no impact on this card. This card will just move to wherever that location ends up putting them. So even Magneto pulling him over or anything like that, yeah, he's going to end up at the Magneto location. This is only when a card or location indicates left or right, he's going to go the other way. So much fun. Number 5, Perix's SpiderUK. All right, so SpiderUK. Now, I will say, I think the power level of some of these cards is a little bit high, but you know what? Move could use it. I know move decks pop off every now and then, but let's face it, they always kind of just are inconsistent or don't quite make it to the top tiers of the meta. So I'd like to see a couple powerhouses join the move decks and make them that very strong option to take into the ladder. But anyways, here you have SpiderUK. So 4/1 ongoing +2 power for each time a card has moved this game. So essentially kind of like the Devil Dino, right? Getting that +2 power for cards in your hand, but this is looking at cards that moved. It's also kind of like Morbius, who looks at cards that got discarded. And you know what? Morbius, if you compare the two there, Morbius probably has more opportunities for cards to get discarded. Maybe it's tough to say, I don't know, but I just think of like a MODOK wipe, like with a Wong maybe play, and you can get your Morbius to like 16 power. You only paid 2 for it. So when you look at that and you compare it to SpiderUK, I think it's pretty close. Like, you're probably playing your Silk, it's moving around like maybe once per turn, and then you got maybe like Doctor Strange pulling 2 or 3 things. You got Spider-Man doing flips, Ghost Spider, all those kinds of pulls, and then you got that big Heimdall push to not only buff up your Vulture, buff up your Torch, move those multiple men around, whatever you're doing, but then you also get this SpiderUK to crazy power totals, because you could be moving straight up 7 cards plus probably in a single turn. That is 14 power for Rex here, and on top of everything you've moved in the past. So does this card need to be a 5-drop? Maybe. Honestly, maybe. But I kind of just like it the way it is. Fun fact, Devil Dino used to be a 4-drop, so there you go. That's something. Anyways, very cool, very funny flavor here. I really love how you've combined the Spider-Man theme with the Devil Dino. Is this actually Devil Dino lore-wise? Does anyone know? And he just like is a different variation of Devil Dino when he became Spider-Man? I don't know. I don't know the lore behind this one. Sorry about that. Anyways, let's get to number 4. Number 4, Tim's SpiderUK. All right, we got SpiderUK. I haven't really heard of this one. I only think of Spider-Punk, who in the Spider-Verse movies had an English accent, and I think was from there, anyways, from what I could gather. But anyways, we have SpiderUK here, who is a 1/2. When this moves to another location, pull this card's original location with it. They swap places. Tim, all right, this is pretty neat, man. So I like the idea. I could see the animation right away, right? This gets moved over, spiderweb comes out, sticks to the location and pulls it over, which would be just really cool. And then they flip. So it's like a Quake effect, right? I don't know if you I've had this challenge for a while and there's been an OTA and Quake has changed. I wonder if you made this before the Quake change. I'm not even sure, but regardless, pretty neat to have movement and location swap. Would really surprise a lot of players. And then you could even do like a crazy thing where you got Quake in your deck, you got Scarlet Witch, you got Rhino, I don't know, Legion, whatever, it doesn't really matter. You just do all this location swapping and flipping and all this stuff, and it gets really chaotic for your opponent to kind of plan for of things, because there's a lot of locations that have time sensitive effects or big power implications. I'm looking at like the Nexus, right? You all of a sudden you move the Nexus because SpiderUK moved. That'd be just wild. So a quick little flip. So very close to Quake, but obviously being a one drop and requiring that movement could be really cool addition to movement decks to give them that little bit of a surprise factor. And then I was thinking like Storm is a good addition, right? We can move the flooded location, Cloak to just move a bunch of stuff. What I like about Cloak is that it gives you the option to move SpiderUK there, but also play mind games with your opponent of, hey, am I going to flip the locations or not? and then maybe you just leave that flood location there or something along those lines. Pretty neat. And then lastly, the Watcher, just to give us an idea of where we might want to flip these locations around. Still not a very good card. Poor guy. All right. Thanks, Tim, for the submission. Let's get to number 3. Number 3, Battle Falcons, Batroc, the Leaper. I say that with like almost a question because I don't know if it's Batroc or Batroc or whatever. I've never really heard of this guy, but he looks pretty goofy. And I like it. I like it. 3/3. When your opponent plays a card with higher power than this, move there and gain +2 power. So kind of reminiscent of Werewolf by Night, looking for those honor reveals when you play them. But this time it's about what your opponent plays. And we're hoping that they decide to play cards with higher power than this guy so that he moves there. Now, this is going to become increasingly difficult because as he acquires that power, now we need a higher power card than that to beat him. So it's going to go to 5, and then you need a 6 or plus power card to be played, and then he's going to go to 7, and then you need an 8 plus power card to be played. So I imagine you only get a few triggers this compared to like Werewolf by Night when it used to be a 3/3. You could get it to very high power totals pretty quickly. This one, I don't know. You maybe get it twice, but it does create an interesting situation where all of a sudden your opponent has power over where they choose this card to land. Because they could, on the last turn, play a super powerful card like Red Skull or something like that, or Giganto or whatever, Magneto, and pull the Leaper over. I guess Magneto would already, but you know what I mean. One of those big cards, you play it there, and then it's going to pull this guy over, taking the power from the other location that you might have wanted to keep him there with. So maybe like Professor X to lock this guy down would be a good idea, but then you're missing out on the power potential. I don't know. It's interesting. Very balanced. If anything, probably on the weaker end. I'd almost like to see this guy be a 2/3. I think it would be an interesting option. But you could pair it with Miles Morales, which makes it a pretty guaranteed discounting Miles Morales, but not that he's already difficult to discount anyways. And then Silver Surfer is pretty good to give him +2 power because he could work in that type of deck. But then it's, that's such a competitive list with Surfer that it might be difficult to actually justify putting him in. But regardless, I think it's a very interesting card because I like the idea of leaving this threat on the board, but giving your opponent the complexity to think about, how do I deal with this? How do I move this around? Do I just not care and play out my big cards? Do I maybe play a little bit more cautiously because I don't want this to get high in power? And against certain decks, this would just wreck. Like I'm thinking of like the Red Skull Shuri decks and stuff like that. Like that'd be a really hard time for those decks, or Scar decks, right? Anything that wants to get a lot of power out would maybe be hesitant to playing those cards, or maybe they wouldn't care. Who knows? Because they'd always have more power than this guy. But it's just a nice catch-up mechanic. Anyways, I thought it was pretty cool. Let's get to number 2. Number 2, Persona trashes the amazing Mary Jane. All right, we got MJ here. Yes, I would love to see this character in Marvel Snap. That'd be fantastic. So she is a 1/2. When a card would move randomly, it moves here. Dude, these top 2 are just goated. These are so good. I would love to see this card in Marvel Snap because a control over your RNG, let's go. That's amazing. And there's like implications on moving your cards. There's the implications on moving your opponent's cards. We're looking at like things like Juggernaut, right? How many times you're like, if I'm going to play Jug here, it's going to be a great play, but it's a 50-50 if I win or lose, because he might fall into that location where I don't want him to go. It might be like Sanctum Sanctorum or one of those locations, right? That just gives my opponent the win. Or it falls into that one location that I've already forsaken. It's done deal. It'd be great if that card fell there. Well, now if you got Mary Jane out there, you know where they're going to go. You know where you're going to displace those cards, and that's just perfect. I love that. Would it be hard to tech this card in? Probably, because it's just giving you a little bit more insurance on your win. But man, that would be nice. Probably for like tournaments and stuff, if that ever came to be with move decks. Whoo, that would be nice to have in your deck. Another one is Spider-Man. What a great pair. So you move a card randomly with Spider-Man to one of the other two locations. Well, if Mary Jane's out there, she knows exactly where they're gonna land, which could be really good if you got like Kingpin out there or Craven, right? One of those beneficiaries to moving cards, your opponent's cards, to that specific location. So that'd just be so good. I love it. And then Silk. Silk's an interesting one. And what happens if the card is actually already at Mary Jane's location, right? So Silk is there, and then a card is played there. Does Silk move off and then move back? I think she just is like in lockdown mode. She just can't move anywhere. That's the way I interpret it anyways. But so cool. And I don't know if there's that many random movement effects, like even from locations and stuff like this. These three came to mind. I'm sure there's more that I was thinking about, but anytime there would be a random movement. Oh my God, my boy Stegron, of course. Stegron, there you go. Amazing. Stuff like that, man. It'd just be fantastic to have this card. So this is a great submission Persona Trash. I just love this card through and through. And the character as well would be really, really neat. So well done, my friend. Let's get to number one. Number one, Joey Fantana's Chasm. Let's go. This card not only is sick, powerful, just amazing, but also this card art is actually made and drawn up and designed by Joey himself. So this is custom art made by Joey and a custom card. Love it. And actually, he's been making a bunch of his own art and own custom cards for a while now. And so I'm really happy to finally like showcase one of yours, and such a good card that you have here, Joey. So 4/4, you can move this each turn. Okay, so similar to like Vision, or there's another one I can't even think of, Phoenix Force. And if your opponent plays a card here, double this card's power. Let's go. That is so much fun. So essentially, you're looking to move the card where you think your opponent's going to be playing those cards. Now, I know there's some like technical, maybe nuances with, if they play the card, it registers before the movement actually happens, whatever. I know movement is the first thing to happen when a turn begins, but they've already played their cards. So I don't really know what would take place first, but for the sake of the fun of this card, I imagine that if you choose correctly, you move that card to where your opponent plays cards, then bam, you're going to get the activation of this ability. And the other thing is, you're gonna have Chasm. If you just leave Chasm here, you're gonna double in power. So now it's almost like a little bit of a bait. Hey, if you decide to play a card here, well, Chasm's just gonna get a bunch of power, and that's why I thought Jean Grey is just insane. Jean Grey on 3, Chasm on 4. Your opponent's guaranteed to play a card on 5 or 6 at this location, most likely anyhow. And if not, they fill it, and then to move Chasm off of this location to somewhere else where he can double. And if that were to happen in that sequence of events, you're going to go from 4 to 8 to 16. 16 power. That's crazy. It's like Black Panther crazy stat line, right? So maybe broken, but honestly, I don't care. I think it would just be so much fun. And he still gets countered by things like Shang-Chi as well as Shadow King, but then he can move every turn. So he'd be really elusive and hard to pinpoint with those counters. So probably broken, honestly, when I start to list it out like this, and especially when you pair it with Zabu, who can make this go out on 3, and then you have the potential to get to 32 power. And now we're not even including buffing this card up, right? With like a Koye or whatever else, just giving it power. And then you're doubling from like 5 to 10 to 20 to 40, etc., which can get just really out of hand. But like I said at the beginning, man, Move could use a card like this that just really takes it to new heights, really gives it that extra bonus power. And then Craven, of course, moving over to Craven location is just nuts. So yeah, lots of combo potential with a card like this. Amazing artwork. Really fun card too. Let's be honest, like playing this and sniping those moves to get the doubling in power would be so satisfying. I would really have a great time playing with a card like this, but maybe there's some balance tweaks that needs to be had. But honestly, you can make this card like a 4-2, 4-3. It'd still be just as fun. It'd just be maybe in a better power range. So yeah, I love it. I would love to see it in Marvel Snap. Anyways, thank you so much to everybody who submitted a card and all the winners here today. I look forward to the next challenge. I know it's a bit niche, a little bit more difficult with the afflict keyword, but man, I like to see what you guys come up with. I like to challenge you every now and then to see those creative ideas, and then we can take it back and go back to a normal keyword. We just got to mix it up, mix it in, right? All right, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.